Listen to the new Thin Green Line podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Game wardens John Norris and Wayne Saunders talk about wildlife, the outdoors, law enforcement, environmental subjects mixed with current events and guests that are part of the Thin Green Line. And if you are one of those visual people, like me, for $5 a month, you can see the actual podcast on patreon.com. Just search the Thin Green Line podcast on patreon.com and join us. The Copper Pig Brewery in Lancaster, New Hampshire, is brewing traditional and innovative high-quality beers, as well as serving a large menu of creative comfort foods appealing to all walks of life, with daily specials sourcing many ingredients locally. Charitable involvement and support of their community is the cornerstone to the Copper Pig Brewery's mission. Voted number 1 in New Hampshire by WMUR Viewers' Choice 2 years in a row, 2018 and 2019. Please join me at the Copper Pig. Guidefitter is the industry network for professional outdoor guides and outfitters, the trusted destination for consumers seeking and sharing guided hunting and fishing experiences of a lifetime, and the enterprise influencer marketing platform for outdoor brands. Guidefitter and its members represent the pulse of the guided hunting and fishing industry. Guidefitter's outdoor partners provide discounts to select types of outdoor professionals, including game wardens, members of the military, guides, outfitters, and other outdoor professionals. Over 145 brand partners and counting. Gear across many categories, including packs, footwear, clothing, flashlights, knives, optics, even firearms and ammo. For more information, go to guidefitter.com/wardenswatch. That's Wardenswatch, all one word. I'm Game Warden Wayne Saunders, and I'm a member of Guidefitter.
We love our children. We protect them. We guide them. We prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do, from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstance, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the hardest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a non-profit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference.
This podcast is brought to you by Maine, Operation Game Thief, and Wildlife Heritage, a foundation of New Hampshire at nhwildlifeheritage.org, and International Wildlife Crime Stoppers. Please join me, Game Warden Wayne Saunders, and other game wardens on our adventures protecting wildlife, saving lives, and having fun, all while serving the public and the natural resources of our planet. Listen to the tales and experiences of those who work in the outdoors while being entertained with stories about encounters with poachers, wildlife investigation, murder investigation, near-death experiences, search and rescue missions, wildlife interactions from game wardens around the country and around the world. When I retired, I realized I couldn't let go of that legacy, but rather wanted to share the passion, the commitment, and the stories of those men and women that call themselves game wardens. This is Game Warden Wayne Saunders, and this is Warden's Watch. Part 2 of the Northwoods Law K-9s, episode 39. And this is going to be the conclusion, and we're going to talk to the 2 other K-9 handlers we have, Eric Fluette, Bob Mancini, and then a future K-9 handler with Ken St Pierre, and he's going to reveal a little surprise for you that you're not going to be able to see on TV. Well, you probably will see it on TV, but you're going to hear it first at Warden's Watch, so get excited. Me and John Norris are such dog people, and it's so good to bring this into Warden's Watch, and even the Thin Green Line and everybody that uses dogs in conservation. It's just an awesome thing, John. And when I talked to Sarah Gardner, the 4-H leader, and I'm a 4-H leader, we talked first. You mentioned this companion dog program in California, and I'd never heard about it. And Sarah and I talked about it after. We were like, "Yeah, let's ask John about that because I've never heard that." And and he always mentions companion dog, companion dog, companion dog, and you always post pictures of your yellow lab on Instagram. It just shows you how connected you are to your dog too.
Yeah, Wayne, the cool thing is, and something I didn't realize that a lot of other states in our world of conservation agencies aren't necessarily doing, and I hope they do more of them throughout the nation, is we kind of have a three-prong approach to our canine program. And that first level is, not a certified detection dog or a certified dual-purpose apprehension detection dog that obviously has to be vetted, extensive training. Handlers have to go through, all of their canine training, be selected, be vetted by supervisors and canine administrators. And that's a long process. So the companion dog program we have in California, any game warden that has a dog that's been through obedience training and tested by an administrator, that's had, their licensing, their rabies shots, their vaccinations, can patrol with an officer. The nice part about it is we can have our dogs with us. Every officer in the fleet can, so to speak. Even if they're not a certified canine handler in detection or dual purpose apprehension detection. So we have a majority of our wardens in California having their dogs on patrol with them. And I was one of those guys even before we started to develop advanced canine tactics for the marijuana enforcement team and, Phoebe's story and that level of canine work. My first lab was Jordan, and she was a companion dog ever since we really got back on track with the canine program around 2005, 2006. And even though she wasn't certified in detection, that dog made so many cases, ad hoc when we were in the woods, finding, undersized fish that were hidden, finding over limits, finding untagged deer, finding bait piles, and just being able to melt the ice and get a confession, help me get confessions out of suspects that I would have never caught or made a case on because they saw that dog working her nose and they know how good dogs can detect. They're amazing just to have as a companion. And when you're the only solo warden out there and you got nobody and you don't have, backup 2 hours away or more, it's kind of nice to have even a companion dog. Apollo, my second dog after Jordan passed in 2010, Apollo was a companion dog with me from right at 6 months. She was one of the youngest labs to pass basic obedience that the chief put her through. Very smart dog. So we got her through at 6 months.
Wow.
And she worked with me right up until retirement at the end of 2018. And she's pushing 11 years old now. And she had another companion career like Jordan did. She made a lot of cases when we were starting the marijuana enforcement, emphasis on the cartel operations. She would go in early season, not to detect officially and not to definitely apprehend anybody because that yellow lab isn't going to bite any gunman. She's going to lick them to death. But she would detect marijuana very far away because of that great nose of hers before we could even smell it, and actually saved our lives several times in the early season of cultivation when we were about to walk into a new grow site with a small scout team. So little things like that, man, just make it awesome. And had obviously two great companion dogs during my career. And you're a dog guy and you have your dogs, and most of the wardens we know have them. So the companion dog program is cool. And I hope other states, get on board with it. And the other cool thing about it is it also helps get the right handlers kind of in line to go further into the canine program and become an official canine handler, because they've got a dog with them all the time. They know the ins and outs of, the logistics of what it's going to take care of that dog, where you're going to put them, how they're going to act on patrol inside and outside of the vehicle. So all of those things come into bear, and we groom up a lot of canine handlers just by having a companion dog early in their career.
Well, Colonel Jordan wraps up our podcast, so hopefully he's going to listen to the whole thing and hear about this canine companion dog. And is Apollo still with you? Is that the dog that I'm seeing on Instagram that still runs with you and stuff like that? Or is that
that's her. Yeah. She's a little English yellow lab, little 50-pound fire plug, and kind of small, fits everywhere. But yeah, she's still trucking. She doesn't run as fast as she used to, but she's still out there on the trail with me every day, 3 to 5 miles, and up in on hunts and things like that, and goes everywhere. And when I'm doing the outreach road show, she's in the car, she's in the truck, travels great, and But I'm sure, like some of the dogs you've had, she's starting to get up there in years, and she's slowing down a little bit. And I'm just hoping, we're blessed to have her another couple of years at least, because she's been an amazing dog, and that's going to be she's going to be a hard family member to lose when the time comes.
Yeah, no, my shepherd's at 11, and he's certainly showing his age.
Yeah.
So, but he still shows his
Yep.
intelligence. In the hot days, I open the door to the basement. He goes down and spends the day in the basement and comes up at night. He's very, very sharp. I will say that. He's always been very intelligent, and I can still see that. And I keep pointing that out to my son, who has the German wire hair pointer, Cork, and I keep showing him the difference between the pointer and the shepherd, the actually the brain working versus just the instinct, go, 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 go.
I love it. Yeah, that's so cool.
But she does a dynamic job. She's been first place quite a few times in the 4-H dog shows with obedience, and that was always my strong point, was the obedience. So yeah, so he's a pretty proud kid of his dog, and should be. So, and that's kind of neat by bringing on the 4-H into this, and hopefully cultivating new dog handlers as game wardens in the future, because 4-H kids love the outdoors. They got a passion for animals, and it fits well. So I'm pretty excited we were able to do this podcast and join them. And then remember Ruby, our lead handlers, who's running the program now, K-9, and everybody saw her on Northwoods Law and followed her. So that was a tragic event for viewers of that show as well as Bill. Yeah. So glad we could do all this and wrap it up. Episode 39, it's going pretty quick, huh, man?
Oh, it really is, man. It's trucking right along. And thanks to all of our listeners and viewers. You guys are really making this show fun. You're motivating different topics from both Wayne and I. And the cool thing about it is this one, like you said, Wayne, is very special because it's so canine heavy. You know, it hits heavy on the emotional level. And I think you guys are going to love this one. This one's special. Enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward with a post of you and Apollo again. I know you got quite a few of them out there, but now would be a good time to do another one.
I won't give the farm away, buddy, but one's coming real soon.
Okay, that's great, John. Yeah. So I hope everybody enjoys episode 39, part 2, Northwoods Law Dogs. Thanks. And next in our lineup of New Hampshire Conservation Officer K-9 handlers is Eric Fluette, who handles K-9 Moxie. And Eric's been on this show before, so he's no newbie to podcasting. He's new to the video stuff, and I guess I can say I am too. But it's good to see you this morning. Thank you for joining me, Eric.
Oh, absolutely.
This is kind of a neat podcast that I'm doing. I want to remember Ruby, Bill's dog that passed away this past year, and I think we all know that these dogs become members of our family, so it's like losing a family member. Certainly, want to do something for Ruby, for Bill, and it's kind of special because of COVID-19. The New Hampshire 4-H dog clubs aren't meeting right now, so they're doing everything virtually, which, to be honest with you, with dog training, can you imagine doing dog training virtually? Yeah, it's not going so well. So this is kind of expanding different things so kids can learn different things via the computer, via Zoom, via these interviews. You guys are kind of front and center being on Northwoods Law. You're the K-9 handlers on TV right now, so I think that's pretty exciting for these kids. They get to see these dogs work every Sunday night. Most of the time. So let's start off with Moxie. I think I got a good relationship with Moxie because I was the lieutenant when she came on board with us, and that was exciting in itself, and we've come a long ways. The name, Eric, I mean, did you have a lot of input on the name, or you just kind of pulled that out of the refrigerator, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. It was right out of the a Moxie can. Yeah, certainly after the soda, and kind of fit well, and yeah, it's was pretty quick to
there wasn't a lot of debate, was it? It was like, I don't know what I'm going to call my dog as I reach for the Moxie in the refrigerator, right? And you were like, here it is, Moxie. I love it,
Yeah, no, it's got that mixture of, it's got a good fit for her, I think, so.
Yeah, no doubt. And you have the only yellow lab, the yellow dog.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can tell that it's yellow. This is a relatively newly dry cleaned uniform, so maybe it's not fully yellow hair yet. So
that's the downside of having a yellow dog, right?
I've bought more lint rollers in the last 3 years than I ever have in my life. So
That's too funny. Well, at least your girlfriend doesn't have to know that, the blonde is the blonde. So that works out fairly good, huh? She's not pulling brunette hair off of you.
yeah.
So the process of fixing out Moxie, I mean, were you after a yellow dog, or just how'd that work out? You just went down and did some testing and she tested out the best, or?
Yeah, so it was actually pretty neat because for the longest time in my personal life, I had actually wanted a yellow lab, but really with our work, I'm just not home enough, and just never really pursued a dog in my personal life. Yeah, so when I had the opportunity with you, Wayne, to get a working dog, it just was a perfect, in any dog, whatever color, make, model it was going to be, would have been just fine. So in any case, Wes and Belinda were going to give us the next dog, and I'll never forget. I think it was I want to say it was Wild New Hampshire Day. I met with them, and hey, it's going to end up being a yellow lab, and I was just so ecstatic to have that dog that I wanted anyway, So to me, the yellow lab was my ideal dog. So since then, we've been just partners in work and home.
Well, that's great. And did you go down to see the puppies, and Moxie came running right over to you, or do you have to beat off 20 puppies, or that whole selection on how? I mean, that's a little stress. This is your partner. This is somebody you're going to spend your every waking moment with. So that selection process is pretty important.
Yeah. So basically, in the week or so before we went down to pick her out, I got basically a rundown on K-9 selection for our working dogs. So just had some quote tests to run the dogs through, and basically, so we went down. Lieutenant Boudreau and I had no idea the depiction of the previous handlers who went down and checked the dogs out. So both James and Bob had been down and done a selection process before us, with tests. So Lieutenant Boudreau and I went down. Of course, numerous cute little yellow labs running around.
And they were all yellow?
Oh yeah, all yellow labs in a pen, ready to play, chomping at the bit to meet us. So ultimately, we started selecting one at a time and just running them through the tests. And it was kind of neat. Through the same process, we got down to 2 dogs, and they happened to be the same 2 dogs that both James and Bob had gotten the dogs down to. I think it was a red and a green collared dog. So we ended up matching the same 2 dogs that we felt would be great for our line of work, just the same as James and Bob.
That's pretty cool. That means your selection process is working. You're picking up the same dogs for. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so those 2, stood out to all of us, and then I'll never forget. I think it was just Bob. Lieutenant Boudreau and I were going back and forth. How do I decide? I'm stressing out. I'm losing more hair. It was bad. Just like I don't want to mess this up, and it basically, I think everybody on site was just, hey, which one are you leaning towards, and just go with your gut. And Moxie she and I clinged right there. And so I was pretty set on wanting her.
What color was her collar? Just out of curiosity.
So she was the red collar. Yeah.
Nice. And there's different selections. If you want a working dog, you're looking for certain specific things, aren't you?
Well, yeah, that's what was neat. I remember one of the processes, it's kind of funny because she's kind of changed to be opposite now. We dropped basically a dog bowl in the area, the vicinity of the dog. Nothing like, crazy to scare, but enough to startle the dog. The dog's not, doesn't know what's coming necessarily, and drops it in the area. And then it was funny because we were looking, see how startled the dog would be, and would it come back to investigate what had happened. And Moxie, of course, came running right back. So it was like, oh, this is great. And now she's afraid if her tail hits a leaf on a tree that she's not expecting. So it's kind of funny that all those tests, and then that one in particular, I feel like it's just funny because she's now afraid of her own shadow. So.
Yeah, she's done.
But it was a great.
Yeah, she's done that on other things too. Like I wanted to tell everybody about her experience with trying to learn how to swim, because I was there for some of that. Which, again, we've gone total opposites, haven't we, Eric? I mean, when we tried to get her to swim up at First Lake, I mean, that was a challenge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, she wouldn't go in the water.
Yeah, and I think I've always had that stigma of labs just loves the water, and like I said, never really raising a dog in adulthood here. So it was my first. So whenever we started her around the water, plenty between the house, and the first time she went in the water was while we were canoeing as a puppy. So she decided to jump right in. And maybe that deterred her from kind of wanting to get into it more. I don't know. But yeah, so I tried everything. I tried being in a canoe in the pond, trying to coax her with her toy. And ultimately, we were up at a family camp in Maine, and there, Mary's cousin's dog was there. We were coaxing Moxie, trying to get her to go, and the other dog was swimming like crazy, and eventually she jumped right in and chased after the ball or stick, whatever we were throwing, and since then, now it's like she's got radar for wherever a mud puddle might be, the most ugly, grossest water you could find, or what have you, and that yellow lab turns into a black lab pretty quick. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a blessing and a curse. So she loves the water, and it's great. Yesterday we were on a search, and I swear, as soon as she's got at all a feeling that she needs to cool down, it's I'm going to run to the stream that, of course, is right beside our search area and cool down, which in the end, it kind of works out good because she cools down and gets back focused. But yeah, she's got a straight line of sight on any water body when we're out and about.
No, that's just too funny. And this being there and seeing her that first time, you tried so hard to get her in the water, back and forth, tossing it just beyond her reach, and she would not go in the water. And to see her now, talk about opposites, it's just a huge change, that dog. And Eric has a pond at his house in the backyard, and as soon as he lets the dog out, and he's like, "Don't jump in the pond!" That's where the dog heads, is that pond. At least it's not a mud puddle.
Yes. At least that's the only nice thing. I leave a towel on the porch because every night after work I open my cruiser door and she just goes straight to the pond, jumps in, and then comes to the porch. So about the time that I'm got all my gear out of my cruiser to bring into the house, she's coming soaking wet. So I dry her off and bring her in.
Oh, that's
and
great.
That concludes her work day.
Yeah, and Moxie's got a sister at home, right?
Yeah. So I've got her sister Millie, so an Australian Shepherd. We got her not long after getting Moxie, so she's about 6 months less in age than Moxie. So,
And they get along well.
Oh yeah. So they've been together since, and they're just. They certainly love each other and play in every aspect that you'd think two sisters would play, as far as chasing each other around the yard and everything. And but yeah, they're pretty inseparable. So
that's great. So your training, I mean, it's a lot of training, especially when you start from a puppy, because you have that puppy time, and then we've been talking to James Benvenuti and Billy Boudreau and talking about going to Vermont for 6 weeks. And for you, being as remote as you are, you just add some hours of traveling, and just to get to the Vermont Academy, how long does that take you?
Yeah, so it's three and a half one way for me to get to the academy. So on a training day, I'll be 7 hours of driving, and usually a mixed stop somewhere in there.
Well, that's a lot of commitment. And that's what being a canine handler is. It's commitment, isn't it?
Oh, yes. That's the one thing with work on a given day. Yeah, you can be done hopefully at some point in with the canine handling. You're kind of always have some aspect of responsibility with work, every day with her.
So your first find with Moxie, And can you share that with us, or one of your big cases that you've put together using Moxie? Because I know as officers, we all love bringing a K-9 in to help us because they are so much faster, more efficient, and find us evidence, and we can put cases together, find people, and that's what our team's all about. And just share, because I know that's kind of, you get those special moments with your dog when you put all that effort into it, and then you get some of that reward.
Yeah, so it's kind of neat. The one that jumps right to mind was, my first find with Moxie would have been at a hunter-related shooting that occurred down in Millsfield. So basically got the call the night before that, hey, we need you down here. We're going to go into the scene. Got down with Sergeant Lucas, CO Jim Sears, and they had investigated the night before. And again, we were there to kind of do the scene work, wrap up that day. The shell casings it ended up being a shotgun related incident. So the shell casings were visible, but certainly a great aspect to train and utilize Moxie on. So located those, a lot of physical evidence at the scene with the location of this being a real thick area involving hare hunters. From there, lot was going on scene. I worked Moxie out basically the trajectory that shots took place at, basically trying to locate the wads or any other related shot piece out in that vicinity. Moxie is fresh out of the academy at this point, so we ran that trajectory, but again, a lot of distractions and stuff going on at the scene. So I put her up back in the cruiser. We wrapped up all the work with that line in scene with the COs there. Once that was complete, I decided to bring Moxie back in for a second sweep of the area. And this was just she and I in that scene. It was really neat, actually. So I worked out that trajectory and spun back. This would have been the one of the sides of that line. In working back, we literally were probably, let's say, 30 feet from off of the trajectory line. Moxie starts getting birdie on something, so she's got a change in behavior and ultimately
she's getting excited, her tail's wagging, and she's detecting something.
Yep, and I'm a little ways from her at this point, and it's real thick fur, just nasty stuff. So sure enough, she downs on something, and I could see this red, I believe it was red wad that was in amongst the leaves and stuff at the base of one of these furs. And it was so exciting because it was a spot that you wouldn't have necessarily looked back at, almost as if it had deflected off of one of the trees and bounced back towards the shooter. So it was a really neat first find. And so I was ecstatic. Spun back in literally on the other side of that trajectory line, located an additional wad that was only, in that case, I think 10 feet or so off of the trajectory line. In any case, three of us had been in there a fourth to include Moxie. We hadn't initially located those pieces of evidence, and they certainly weren't extremely valuable in this case, but they were a nice piece to put together for the investigating COs.
And it's safe to say that you guys would have never found that evidence if it wasn't for Moxie.
Oh no! In that that color of that water, they blended in so well. It was kind of neat. I took some photos once Moxie down and stuff. I played with her, and when I took photos of that, it's almost hard. It's hard to see in the photos that I'm taking from let's say my height, whatever, where my hands are 5 feet away or so. They blended in very well.
So when you got Moxie there with you right now?
Oh yeah. She's sleeping.
That's what she does best, right? You got to sleep when it's time to sleep, and you got to work when it's time to work. That's what dogs do.
You're gonna say hi. Yeah. So
that's
yeah.
great.
She was in the cruiser for a long time yesterday, so I think she had her breakfast, and now she's in her morning nap routine. So
Great. Well, great, Eric. I really appreciate you. Is there something you want to say about Moxie that not a lot of people know about? I think we got into some of her personality, but the water thing, a little tidbit that maybe is a little funny or something unique?
Yeah, she, I'm trying to think, her swimming habits probably the biggest thing. But she is absolutely a lab in every aspect when it comes to food. If I haven't fed her by the designated to the T minute of every day, it ends up being that sit and stare from, it could be 15 feet away, it could be like 2 feet away, and she just sits and stares, and she won't leave your side until you've gone downstairs and filled her dog bowl. So yeah, I would say it's that would be another funny aspect of her. I mean, it's like she knows the clock's ticking and she's gonna fade away if I don't get her meal, her second meal for the day, or her first meal. So.
And does she still attack the food like she used to? I mean, literally, when she was a puppy, I've never seen a dog like that, just ferociously attacking her.
Oh yeah, I can go get this thing. We got a bowl that has essentially a maze through the whole thing. Our first couple of weeks having her, even as a puppy, it was obscene how quick she'd eat. So in an effort to slow her down and, make it a reasonable breakfast and dinner, we got her this bowl it's just got all kinds of crevices through it. So she has to, instead of it taking 30 seconds for her to eat her meal, it at least takes 2 minutes. So it's a little better.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes, dogs take on attributes of their owners, and I'll say that. So. And I'm wondering, in your cupboard, is there a maze-filled bowl?
Well, yeah,
Yep. So I'll leave it at that. That's great. And thanks so much, Eric, for taking a little time to, bring some reality to the 4-H dog clubs, and doing this for Ruby as well. And certainly, the kids get inspired by you guys and seeing how dogs work and how you guys train. And then they bring that home to train, and hopefully next year we'll be in better condition to compete at the fairs and such like that. Thanks a lot for taking your time.
Yeah, well, I'm honored to be a part of it, and appreciate the opportunity, Wayne. And yeah, don't let for those 4-Hers, don't let this discourage you. There's still even with us with training remotely and not getting together, we've kind of been spinning it on our own with and coming up with different ideas on how to train. So I think in the end, if you can make something better from it and come up with some new ideas on training, that's a positive too. So.
Awesome. No, thanks for that tidbit too. Appreciate it. So we're following up a little different, but it's pretty cool. You guys are going to get the insight into the future of the New Hampshire K-9 program. And we have with us right now Ken St Pierre, conservation officer, game warden Ken St Pierre, who is stationed in the Lakes Region area. And you might have seen him on Northwoods Law as well, but he is the newest member of the K-9 team, huh, Ken?
Yeah, that's right, Wayne. I just got on the team here in April. Don't have a dog yet. We're looking to get one in September, and kind of doing my reading up, doing my studying, and trying to help out the rest of the guys as much as I can where I'm at right now. So
even dogless, you are part of the team, aren't you? They're making you run tracks, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I get plenty of workout. I got to run tracks for Bob and James and Cora and Ruger and Moxie. So I'm out there running tracks. They're coming to find me. But it's a good learning opportunity for me because, while I'm sitting there waiting, I can watch them from a ways off and, really kind of focus on the dog and see what the dog's doing. And I'm starting to pick up different things and kind of learn, what to look for and, how to read these dogs. And I mean, my dog's going to could be completely different. I could have completely different cues, and you don't know. Just knowing what to look for is definitely going to be a big help.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, when you lay a track, a person lays a track, they usually start at a certain location so the handler knows, and then he basically walks in the woods and makes how many turns, how many this, how many that, and then the dog follows them. There's a time frame in between, too. It's like an hour, 2 hours, depending the track. And are you laying short tracks, long tracks, or up to a mile? Or when you lay a track out, Ken, what are they having you do?
Most days it's been right around a half a mile, walk for 10, 15 minutes, and, try to make it not super difficult, but, obviously throw in turns, throw in maybe some cross-contamination stuff as far as trying to, cross a hiking trail, something like that. So the dog has to get to these other scents and, kind of figure out which one he's actually following and, pick me out of the group and then keep going. So it's you want it to be challenging for the dog, but not impossible, because when you're training, you never want a failure. You always want to, you always want that success at the end of a training. That way they get that praise at the end and they get that good job. So we challenge them, but we don't make them fail.
Yeah, it sounds like you're already learning, and that's great that they bring you into this dogless to start the process. Because even when you have a dog, you guys as handlers are always laying tracks for each other and cross-training with each other's dogs, aren't you?
Yeah, it's actually good. I live in a pretty central location for the K-9 team. James and Cora are 20 minutes to my south, so anytime I need to meet up with them or we want to work together, it's not too hard to do. Bob and Ruger are fairly close as well. They're an hour. Eric and Moxie, they're the furthest ones away, so that'll be a little bit tricky. But we train every Monday. That's kind of our set schedule. Is Mondays are training days, so we meet up somewhere in the state and just hang out, train the dogs, and make sure everyone's in top shape.
Nope, that's really cool. So, and you're going to get a dog from West Reed like so many of the others have as well, huh?
Yeah. Wes is, he puts out great dogs. He puts out awesome dogs for us. We're looking for September. Supposedly there's going to be a litter coming in mid-July, and then, after 8 weeks, they'll be able to come home. So mid-September, it looks like it's going to be the time to really get, all four paws on the ground and start working a lot harder.
Yeah, and Wes just put a comment on the Warden's Watch Facebook page that should have puppies on the ground mid-July and on the same schedule, so it sounds pretty good. But you may be looking for a different kind of lab, huh?
Yeah, so this next litter is going to be Wes said it's going to be a black and chocolate lab, so we've never had a chocolate lab before. We've got blacks and we've got the yellow. So maybe we'll have a chocolate that will meet our needs and pass all the testing that we do. And maybe at the end we'll be picking a chocolate this time.
I think that would be really awesome to have all the colors of labs representative. There is a golden, although Moxie can go yellow or golden, I think. So if we can get all those colors represented, that would be quite a team. And any ideas on names yet? You've been kicking those around?
Yeah, so I've been kicking them around and thinking. Right now, I think I'm down to 2. I struggled a little bit with a male name, but for a female name, I'm at Winnie. I live right here in the Lakes region. I've got Lake Winnipesaukee is in my patrol. It's a big part of my patrol. It's a big part of the state. It's the biggest water body in the state. Everyone who comes to New Hampshire knows, Lake Winnipesaukee. So everyone calls it Winnie for short. That was a female name that I had picked out, and everyone I've talked to really likes it and, really likes everything that goes behind it. The male name took a little while. I think it actually came from Chad Elliott, one of our fish culturists at one of our hatchery. I'm also on the dive team. On our feet, they're not flippers, they're fins. For the male name, I'm looking at Finn. I think it's a pretty good fit. It's still a pretty strong name as far as commands and things like that. So I think right now we're in between Winnie and Finn. It just depends on the sex of the dog.
We're incorporating the 4-H kids into this, the 4-H dog groups. Would it be okay if they commented on the Warden's Watch Facebook page and threw some names out with you, and you might like something better? Or
oh, definitely. It's like I said, I don't have the dog yet, so we've got a couple months. I've kind of been putting it out to everybody, if you can think of something good, Facebook, whatever, because I can only think of so much, and I've only got enough brain power to think of dog names for so long. So having other people's input definitely helps.
Yeah, the 4-H kids could throw out a name for a lab, potentially a chocolate lab, out on the Facebook page, and just give you some ideas. I think that would be good interaction, good ideas, and maybe you stick with your originals. But I got a few ideas for you, Ken. I mean, you're a maple syrup guy, huh? You have a small maple syrup business called Big Lake Maple, huh?
Yeah. I've been making maple syrup for 5 years now. We just finished up our 5th season, and then this past year I actually made an LLC, Big Lake Maple. Once again, I grew up in Lakes Region, right next to Lake Winnipesaukee. Everyone refers to it as the Big Lake. Hey, where are you going fishing? Oh, we're going to go up to the Big Lake. In my mind, I'm like, hey, I'm right here. The lake's 2 miles away. Big Lake Maple. Luckily, it wasn't taken, so I put the LLC on it, and now I'm legitimate.
Cool. And yeah, I'm thinking, with Big Lake Maple part of you, Lake would be a really cool male name, and Maple, if you had a chocolate lab, it's kind of mapley. Some dark syrup there can be, kind of mapley. So I think writing your own, write in your own name. You have 2 there, Lake for a dog and Maple for a female. So those are my ideas. See if the kids can beat them.
No, I've definitely tossed around that idea too. Right now, I'm currently dogless. I don't have a dog at home at all.
Oh, that's right. You just lost your dog, didn't you?
Yeah. I had to put her down in December. She would have been 7 this year. Things happen. It is what it is. Made the decision before it got real bad, so we had to do that. But right now I'm dogless, and I want 2 dogs would be nice. So I was thinking, in the future, if I get another dog, that would kind of go into the maple aspect. Who knows? If someone can come up with something better than me, then by all means.
And you never know how names will hit you, because sometimes they're just there. So, and they fit, and you're like, why did I think of that? But that would be, I think, a good thing for the kids to do, to have some interaction with you and throw out some names and see what they come up with. Oh, and we've stirred their thoughts already, I think, doing that.
Yeah.
I think, it's pretty awesome that you're getting involved with the K-9 team now and getting your dog. 2 dogs isn't bad. We talked to Eric Flouette, who has 2 dogs in the house, and it seems like that works well together. So maybe the kids can help you with that second name of that second dog, because I think it's a lot easier on you when there's 2 dogs around too. They can play together. They keep each other entertained. And I've noticed that at my house too, when my son got his new dog, that it probably added years onto my German Shepherd. So just a totally different feeling. He was totally acting different. So I think that's pretty cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us and giving us a preview into what's ahead for the New Hampshire K-9. And I hope Northwoods Law gets an opportunity to cover picking that puppy, much like they did Moxie, and going through that process, because I think that was pretty fun for everybody to see that on TV and be a part of that. And I think it'll be pretty awesome if we can do the same with you, Ken.
Yeah, it would definitely be good. I know when I enjoyed watching Eric, go through the steps and go through being able to pick his dog, and, just seeing that pure joy and reaction, and, seeing how awesome it was. Unfortunately, with the way things are right now, who knows what the circumstances will be in September, but, we can only hope for the best, and
absolutely,
hopefully something good comes out of it.
Well, thanks for joining Warden's Watch and giving us all that information and interacting with the 4-H kids so they can throw out some names there for you. Appreciate all you do for the citizens of New Hampshire, man. That's good. It's an awesome job.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. Don't be a stranger. We always got good stuff going on.
No doubt. Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, Wayne.
And now I'm with Conservation Officer Bob Mancini and K-9 Ruger. And Bob is our most senior member to the team. Ruger's our most senior dog, with a little sabbatical there in between, huh, Bob? But Ruger stayed with you, and you stayed up to Currents when you took a little sabbatical there. But just want to talk about, you have the most tenure as far as it goes on the New Hampshire Fish and Game K-9 team for sure. You trained with Mark Hensel initially. Ruger is our most senior dog at, what did you say?
So he'll be 8 in October. I can't believe it. Yeah.
Goes quick. Is that old for a working dog?
So ideally you want to work a dog in their prime when they're going to be most, like my heat alarm's going off right now for him, actually. You want to work a dog in their
prime. Is it hot in there?
Yeah, I'm going to just check on him real quick.
So Bob's just checking. He's sitting in his cruiser, and if you are on Patreon, you can actually see this video. He just went out and checked Ruger real quick. Now he's back in the saddle again. And there's K-9 Ruger right beside Conservation Officer, Game Warden Bob Mancini. He's got a little gray around his lips there. Huh, Bob? Giving you a kiss there?
We match.
You both have a little gray.
Yeah. We gave him, I don't know who gave him to who, but we got him. So we're working with it. But yeah, he's going to be 8 in October. And fortunately, he's very much in great condition, really watches diet. I should say the same about myself. He's on a regimented food and vitamin intake every day. It's all measured out. That just keeps him at the pinnacle of form. And so he can operate at a high level when needed. Yeah, it's amazing. They don't forget anything. And we did have a little sabbatical from Fish and Game for a couple of years, but we still maintained our training, and that's really important. Dogs, they love to work. They love to please. And for him, he's very much toy driven. So we utilize that toy and some food along the way to get him to really want to perform at a high level. And fortunately, it's worked out that way.
Yeah, I think he's a little love-driven, too. I saw that little kiss he gave you. He was pretty happy you checked on him. And you've had Ruger since, 11 weeks, you said?
11 weeks old. So, yeah, we got him. He was just a little puppy and a little ball of black fur. And I guess I would have never imagined how amazing it would be and fulfilling it is to have a canine partner. They're much more than just a partner. He becomes a member of the family. Really, for me, it was kind of my first crack at being, having to care for somebody other than myself. That's been very helpful now that I have two little kids, and James and Ava Grace. So he was kind of my guinea pig. I love having him. The missions that we get called to have been really incredible. A lot of fun, extremely rewarding. Finding people is exhilarating, whether it's a criminal or a missing person, somebody who's dead or alive. It's probably the most exhilarating thing that you can experience in the realm of search and rescue as a volunteer or any type of participant. And then evidence is second. I love finding evidence, whether it's in relation to a homicide or officer involved shooting, or even evidence to help us put together a wildlife crime. All of those things have been very, very enjoyable.
Can you give us a scenario, that really stands out in your mind, whether it was a track or evidence or something really critical? One of those stories, Bob, of you and Ruger doing their job.
I guess we can just kind of go to a most recent one, which was really, really kind of neat. Got called. I was in Twin Mountain patrolling, and I heard over the radio of a juvenile that had some suicidal tendencies and had fled her residence. It's just one of those cases of being at the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on the radio. I said I was in the area. We responded, and when I get out of the truck, I always meet with the officer on scene to try to get an idea of what's going on. What am I looking for? From the time that I got out of my truck, I have an app on my phone. It records a track, and I also record a track on the GPS. But from the time I started my track and arrived on scene to the time that we located this missing juvenile was under 10 minutes. And she was a half mile from her residence. It was pretty much a very quick, brisk walk or a slow jog the entire time through the woods, across brooks, open fields, back into thick woods, and down into a really steep drainage, and Ruger found her. What I like to say about canines and handlers is that they essentially are a force multiplier. If we were to have to go and search for this female who had taken a lot of medication, was in real dire straits as far as gonna be passing out at some point and not be responsive. So if we were to put officers and do a foot search on the ground, that could have taken hours to search that same half-mile distance from the place last seen. And Ruger did it in 10 minutes. When I think of anything, I just think of dogs are really a force multiplier. We can show up on scene. We can search an entire field for a shell casing in minutes. That same officer might be out there with a metal detector doing a grid search for hours to find the same piece, or maybe they don't find it at all. In my experience, Ruger has just been a force multiplier. All of our K-9s in the entire division are great dogs. They're excellent at evidence detection, excellent at tracking and fish and wildlife detection. And it really comes down to the amount that our department allows us to train, the tools and equipment that we have at our disposal to do our jobs effectively.
You know, we talk about your sabbatical. That's something I just want to kind of get into because it just kind of tells you what kind of agency you work for. Because when you work as a team with a K-9, technically the department owns the dog, correct?
Ruger is an employee for the department, and he's a piece of equipment owned by the department. The department purchased him and gave me the opportunity to work him as a handler, but very much is owned and taken care of by the department. And in 2017, I made a really difficult decision to take another job as a chief in Sugar Hill, a very small town in the White Mountains in New Hampshire. I remember having a very candid conversation with Colonel Kevin Jordan at the time. And I said, Colonel, if you say I can't take Ruger, then, I'm going to stay because I don't want to leave the dog. And he's like, I could never take your dog. Even though he didn't necessarily want to lose me as an employee, he wasn't going to get in the way of something that he thought that I wanted to do. They allowed me to keep Ruger after leaving, and I was able to work him in Sugar Hill, and he had several fines while we were a team in Sugar Hill. But it just the amount of calls that I got in Sugar Hill didn't even compare to the amount of calls I got as a conservation officer with the Fish and Game Department. We get called all over the state for a variety of issues. Tomorrow we're going to be going down to a place in the Lakes region to look for firearms in relation to a big felony case. We get called to search for shell casings and homicides and stuff that I just wasn't getting a real chance to do working in the small town. Don't have as many resources and connections. The tracks were still there. We were getting called by the local departments that needed help finding criminals and missing people, which is great. But a lot of our calls are related to evidence detection, and Ruger's he's really pretty exceptional at it. So to not be able to use him for his intended purpose was troubling for me, and I didn't feel like I was fulfilling my own career. I just missed the variety of being a conservation officer. It's a job that you can't compare to anywhere else unless you're in wildlife law enforcement somewhere around the country. You probably don't understand some of the things I'm talking about. There's a lot of drive and a lot of personal pride that goes into being in wildlife law enforcement. You're working hours you don't get paid for, inclement weather all the time, and you make the best of it because it's fun. It's an adventure. Every day is an adventure, and I love that.
I did too, Bob, and we're very happy to have you, Ruger, back. It just says so much for our department and the colonel to have let you go with your dog, though, because you're a team. It's a partnership. It's to take a man from his dog. I mean, we've heard stories of that happening in the military and other agencies, and and that's why I wanted to bring it up because it speaks volumes of the department that I worked for, that you worked for, and I just appreciated that, knowing the bond between man and dog or woman and dog, and having that done for you and Ruger, and then to have you back, it's really an awesome thing. So very happy. But there's some other things that I have. I talked to most of the guys on the team, and Ken St Pierre, who's going to be one of your team members coming up. Colonel Kevin Jordan's going to wrap this up at the end too. We're going to interview him a little bit later, and I'm going to probably ask him. We all have labs. Any idea why we went to labs, or can you kind of explain that, or was that specific to Fish and Game, or what are your thoughts on just Labrador retrievers and being partners with us?
So first I'll say is that any working dog that can accomplish the job that it's required to do is the right dog. If you can have a Malinois or a German Shepherd doing whatever job it is that you're looking to do in a law enforcement capacity, then that's the right dog. For us, we do a lot of community policing. We are out checking licenses. We're out on, boat launches, snowmobile trails, ATV trails. A lot of what we do is educating the public and wanting to be approachable. And labs historically have been a very kind breed. They tend not to be overly aggressive. They tend to be very eager to please and kind of people friendly. We'll just go with that, the term people friendly. So not only that community policing piece, but they also are highly trainable. And we had good standing with a couple other previous Labrador retrievers that were exceptional dogs that were handled by Mark Hensel, who is now a state trooper, and he ran our K-9 program for a long time. So Mark had very, very good luck with Poacher and Sig, both Labrador retrievers. And so we continued with that, going with Labrador retrievers, simply because we had really good luck with them being excellent dogs at the evidence detection, fish and wildlife detection, and scent discriminant tracking. So it's not to say that another dog couldn't do the job that we're doing. It's just we've had really good luck, and it's the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. In our case, that's the case.
Yeah, that's a good fit.
It works out, and maybe someday we'll have a different K-9. Maybe we'll have a hound. Who knows? But right now, our dogs are. When you think of it too, we're not running just a hound that's doing scent discrimination tracking. We're running dogs that we're expecting them to be able to key in on a single human scent and follow it for miles. We're expecting them to be able to find gunpowder, any type of human scent that's out of place in any location. And we're expecting them to be able to do fish and wildlife detection for turkey, venison, and fish. And so that's asking a lot out of a dog. And you have to have a dog that's going to be able to do those things that you want it to do, which is multiple. There's multiple starting sequences. There's multiple trainings. There's a lot to tighten up to make sure that the dog understands what you're asking of it, and that you can testify in court to what the dog is telling you, because it's all about the handler reading the dog and the dog not getting miscued by the handler. It's a real team. Mostly, I'm the dummy on the end of the lead following Ruger. That's the honest. But to get to that point takes hundreds of hours of training, and a lot of trust goes into play. Yeah,
no doubt. That's pretty good. And you got Ruger kind of an odd way too, because you wanted a K-9 really bad, didn't you, Bob? And you went to bat for that K-9.
I did.
Let's share that story, because I love that story.
Well,
it says a lot about you too.
It's a while ago, so there could be some authentic license here on my part. But what basically happened is I wanted a K-9, and there wasn't enough funding to get another K-9. Lieutenant Bill Boudreau had just got Ruby. Mark Hensel had Sig. So we had two K-9s, and there really, while there was a need for another dog, there wasn't the funding piece, which is always critically important in a self-funded agency. If you don't have the money and you can't acquire the money somehow, then certain things have to go without. It's just how it goes. It's nothing personal. It's a business, and we have to go and get the things that are an absolute necessity. And getting a dog at that time, a third dog, wasn't the primary necessity of the department. It was important. It was on the radar, but it wasn't the pinnacle.
Mm.
So I had a meeting down with Colonel Garabedian and then Major Jordan. I was told at that meeting that I wasn't going to be getting a dog, and I wanted to clarify as to why, I wasn't getting a dog. Was it performance related? Was it because I was a young officer? Probably questions that I shouldn't have asked, hindsight 2020, because it's really is none of my business. They said I wasn't going to get a dog. I shouldn't get a dog. So that's how it goes. But I asked, as professionally as I could, is it because I'm not doing my job to your satisfaction? Is it because I'm a young officer? No, Bob, that's not the case. No, Bob, that's not the case. Is it a money situation? Yes, it's a money situation. Okay. Well, what if I raise the money is how I kind of phrased the question. And I got a bit of a, kind of a bewildered look by Colonel Garabedian. He was kind of trying to figure me out a little bit. And I kind of phrased it again. And I was like, what if I go ahead and raise the money? What's the cost to have the dog? And how much are you looking for me to raise? And if I raise that amount, can I get one? The number was thrown out. It's about $2,000 a year for a K-9 back then. And we're going to need several years of funding to get it. If you raise, $8,000, then you can go ahead and get a dog. I said, well, I'm going to raise that money, and I'll look forward to coming back and letting you know how I do it. It didn't take me long. Before I left the office, our now Colonel Kevin Jordan looked at Colonel Garabedian and said, he's going to raise that money. You're going to have to get him a dog. And so they kind of chuckled back and forth. But that stayed with me because there was some adversity there. Raising $8,000 is a lot of money. It's a big task. It's a tall order. But I went to bat, and thankfully I had a little bit of a background working at Franklin Pierce University in the fundraising department. So had a little background with going about writing letters on how to acquire funds and basically asking for money. And I had to get permission to go ahead and do that. But it didn't take long, and I had raised several $1,000s. In fact, I think I got $1,000 gift on my way home that day. So that was, and I remember saying, yeah, I've only driven 90 miles and I already got $1,000. We're on our way. And I hit up a bunch of local banks in the Littleton area and some of the other local businesses and some really, really, really supportive members of the community. And again, with everybody's help, I ended up raising well over that amount of money. I don't know exactly how much, but it probably over the course of time in the $15,000 or $20,000 range now.
Yeah. And you even named your dog in hopes of raising some more money, didn't you?
We did. Yeah. I named him Ruger because I thought that would be a good selling point. It turns out that Ruger did donate to the department in a different way through becoming an outdoors woman. So I thought that was definitely a good thing no matter what. Even though it didn't come directly to the K-9 program, it still helped out the department immensely. Everybody in our agency helps each other. The different divisions of the department work hand in hand to do a good job and serve the people in New Hampshire. So naming Ruger after Sturm Ruger firearms is something I'm proud of, and I have quite a few in my gun cabinet at home.
And I'm hoping they get a hold of this podcast and someone working for Ruger is going to listen to this and say, hey, we should donate to the New Hampshire K-9, New Hampshire Fish and Game K-9 program through the Wildlife Heritage Foundation, who does all the fundraising and everything. And the whole K-9 program is pretty much dependent on that fundraising now. So my hope is someone at Ruger listens to this and they're like, geez, that's something we should contribute to, since 8-year-old Ruger has been around for a long time, doing a lot of advertising for us, and hopefully we can be a team member and pull our weight.
Well, that would all be great.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed if it happens. But no matter what, Ruger's had a great career. We're going to continue to have a good career. He's had a lot of finds over the years, both people that are alive, old, young. Some have been dead. A lot of evidence finds, and so it's been a very worthwhile career. I'm very lucky to have been paired with him. Mark Hensel did a great job picking him out of all the other dogs that we could have selected, and thankfully I got Ruger. So
yeah, is he right there? Can you have him come up again one last time? Just say hi to all the people watching the video.
What are you doing, big fella?
Yeah, there he is.
There he is.
It's way too much loving.
It's great. It's great stuff. We spend, it's so funny. My wife will say every once in a while, I swear to God, you love that dog more than me. I never answer her. I'm not going to answer her today either. Not going to answer that question. But I love my dog. I love my partner. He never yells at me. He always in
the back seat, ready to help you.
Yeah. Yep. He's always in my corner. So
well,
we're not
Thanks so much, Bob, for sharing. And I didn't tell you, but first, and I know we've discussed off air, but basically the New Hampshire 4-H dog clubs are, due to COVID, we're doing this distance learning, which, they're going to be listening to this podcast. So that's part of it, because they're training at a young age, teaching their dogs obedience, teaching their dogs conformation, which is like fitting and showmanship, learning about dogs. They actually have to have study. They have quiz bowls and they compete. And this year, is just kind of a downer. So they're going to be listening to this and answering some questions, and it's kind of a good way to start young people in the love of dogs. We're doing those, and we're dedicating this podcast to the memory of Ruby that Bill just lost his K-9 there. So we're doing that in her memory. It's just a great thing to do all the way around, and thank you for participating in and making it special for all those groups and our listeners.
My pleasure. Yeah. Working a dog, training a dog is a monumental effort, and starting somebody young to understand exactly what goes into it, I think is a really, it's critically important, because getting a dog is the easy part, but getting them to do what you want them to do takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it is worth it. No matter what, even if you have a bad day, try to make it end on a positive, because the dogs remember. I'll leave you with that. The dogs always remember, so try to make it fun.
And they want their relationship just like you and Ruger. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks again for having me, and good luck to everybody out there that's listening and going to be training their dogs for the upcoming 4-H season. And good luck. It's the best thing you can ever do.
And we are going to conclude this K-9, New Hampshire K-9 Fishing Game podcast with Colonel Kevin Jordan, and the Colonel's joining me right now, and it seems like a good way to conclude it, Colonel, is wrapping up the ins and the outs, the behind the scenes of the K-9 of New Hampshire Fishing Game, to bring you in it. And you're a longtime dog lover too. That's pretty evident. I've always seen that, and you've had quite a bit of experience with dogs in your career, and you love this program, don't you, Colonel?
I do, very much. Yeah, you're right. As far as ever since I was a kid, I love dogs. I always had hunting dogs. I always had hounds, beagles and hounds, and then transitioned into shepherds when I was a teenager. And it's funny that I ended up at one point in my lifetime, I had a Pomeranian that I don't share with everybody. His name is Shelby.
I remember him very well.
Yeah, well, you had to arrive one day when we were kind of trying to figure out, Shelby and I, who ran the house. A gallant battle, but of course lost, and we were actually friends ever since. And it was comical because unfortunately I ended up getting a divorce, and he was what I got out of the divorce, so he ended up coming with me, which was a bit unique. And he spent another 5 great years with me, and we became very close, because the end of the day, all of the dogs are the same. They've got great personalities. They're individuals, just like people. I'll take him over people, quite frankly, any day. But he had his faults and his strengths, and I miss him to this day. So you're right. I love dogs. So it was a no-brainer for me to have K-9s in this group. And you actually were one of the, well, there was a history of officers before you, but I think you opened the door for what we could do with a good tracking dog. And you did that long before this program was here. And so I also got a chance when I worked in the field to see the advantage of having a good tracking dog and what it would do for us. And it is a pretty tremendous asset to have that in the field. And we happen to have 3 of the best in the country. So, and quite frankly, agencies within our state have had to admit that. And even agencies that have dogs, their own dogs, have called upon our dogs when it mattered. So they recognize it too. So yeah, they're incredible. I'd like to have twice what we have, and the goal is to increase that. But right now we've got some good ones. So, and some really good K-9 handlers, guys that are devoted to it and have worked hard.
Great. I'm going to step back because I want to tell everybody the story about Shelby. That's sure. Pretty interesting. I remember we had to go to court that day. I got to your front door, and I opened the door. As I was opening the door, you said, "Don't open the door," and here comes Shelby prancing out the door. And you were none too happy, and you went prancing out after. She went around the garage prancing, or him, sorry, and you went around the garage after her, and he came right back up the stairs. I opened the door, and he pranced right back in the door. And then you guys had a set two in which he pooped on you. And
So what he did, just to save his reputation a little, what he did was back then when we left the house, he had to put him in a kennel, and he didn't like that.
Yeah.
And so decided that day he was going to take a stand and he was not going to go in a kennel. So I'm in a dress uniform because I'm about to prosecute one of your really poor cases in court, which I did for you on a regular basis.
Yes, you did.
So you were there to meet me, and we were both in dress uniforms, and I'm chasing this dog all through the house trying to get him into a kennel so we don't become late. And he's in the kitchen running just as you open the door, and out he went. You're right. And so he comes back into the house, and he made the fatal error, very similar to a pursuit on the highway where the defendant picks a dead-end road. He picked a dead-end hallway, and so he decided to stand his ground at the end of that. So I put on gloves, and because I knew this was going to not be a good ending, and I walked down the hall and grabbed him, and it was like picking up the Tasmanian devil.
It looked like a Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, he uncorked. I had no idea a dog that small could be that vicious.
Yeah.
And ended up, it was so bad. He lost control of his bowels. It was awful. And of course, I'm mad now because I have a dress uniform with Pomeranian all over it. So I got to change. I'm definitely going to be late for court. And I'm just mad at this dog in general. And so after that day, once we established who the boss was, we got along pretty well after that day. And he never did that again. That was the only time I ever saw that. But it was an eye-opener. It was like picking up a rabid coon. Quite frankly.
That's a good description because that's what I saw. But yeah, and you that dog went with you everywhere after that, driving around in your truck, always there, hanging out the window. Just
he rode the Jeep. He loved. I had a Jeep with no roof. He loved. I'd take the roof off in the summer, and he loved it. And we'd go to Dunkin' Donuts to get a coffee every day. He'd get a donut hole, and he became quite a good friend, which was kind of ironic because when he was brought home, he would not. I always had hunting dogs. I never had a dog like that, and that was clearly a lap dog. But I was not ashamed of him because he ended up becoming. He and I became very close for a number of reasons, and I was glad he was with me until we lost him. And we lost him. He was healthy right up until 3 days before he passed, and his kidneys failed, and I just couldn't watch him suffer. He was too great of a dog, so I took him down, and we did the honorable thing. But I can tell you, it was a tough day. Say goodbye to that little guy. So
yeah, and we're dedicating this podcast actually to Ruby because Bill lost his K-9 Ruby. So that's our dedication to this whole K-9 podcast is to Ruby and Bill's loss, and Bill started this off. And yeah, she was a dynamic dog. And I know you always require the K-9 guys to bring their dogs into the office. You want to see them. If they're there, they got to bring their dogs.
Oh yeah, if they leave those dogs in the truck, it's pretty well known now. If those dogs are left in the truck, Lisa, the office manager, will condemn them forever. And they will go back out to the truck and bring those dogs in. And even in training, I said, they're part of the family here. Go get them, bring them. Oh, they'll jump all over everybody. I said, yeah, and everybody here will survive that. They don't do that. They are very well-mannered. They're good dogs, and I want them here with us. And so I insisted that. Ruby had her own personality, too. She was full of energy and full of life. She really was one of our first shining dogs, if you remember. She would do things that for us that no other K-9 had ever done. And she really paved the way or made me personally understand and realize that this was a good decision. This could work for New Hampshire Fish and Game, and we should pursue this. And she is responsible. I'll always look back at Ruby as the little dog who sold us on that program because she showed us what she could do. I assembled, just to tell you another funny story, when we lost her, I was texting Lieutenant Boudreau, Bill, asking him how she was doing. We were going to the vets, and he didn't answer. So I called him up on the phone the day that we made this tough decision, and I discovered why he wasn't answering me. He couldn't even talk. And I said, hey, I'll be right there. Immediately drove down to the vets and saw her. I hadn't seen her in a while. She was really sick, and the decision was made. And I said, take her home, Bill, so that the family could say goodbye to her and bring her back to the vets. We have a friend of ours that was the vet that really did some great things for us that day. So unknown to Bill, I called the K-9 team and his district. And I said, listen, Bill won't want this, but I want us there at the vets to be there when Bill arrives with Ruby in the morning. So he's not going through this. And she's not going through this without all of us there. We'll be there to comfort Bill. And quite frankly, the rest of us were trashed. So I could have used 30 guys to comfort me. I couldn't stop crying when I saw her like that. And it was a hard day to walk in with Bill when we took her inside. So she is and always will be part of the Fish and Game family. And that was a tough day for all of us. So, but it was kind of funny. We did that to help Bill, and we all needed the help when we got there. There was probably 7 or 8 seasoned game wardens all crying like 2-year-olds that day. So that was a tough day. And I'm hopeful that Bill, he stayed in the program, and I'm personally hopeful that he will make the decision at some point to do it again, because he did a great job. He is running the program, and he does an outstanding job running this K-9 team. So I kind of have encouraged him to stay there. I think he does it justice, and I'd like to see him get another dog at some point.
Wow, that says a lot. So we talked to Bob Mancini about his little leaving and coming back with K-9 Ruger. Another indication, Colonel, that you are certainly a dog lover. A guy, leaves the department and takes a piece of the department equipment with him, be a Ruger, and that says a lot too, because that's not done a whole lot. Nobody you should leave us, but yeah.
Well, and he came in. Bob left for a variety of reasons. And at the time, and did it the right way. He came in very respectfully, and he was dressed in a suit to say goodbye and to tell me what his plans were. And I remember that day very well, because I'm having a conversation with him. I never entered my mind to not let him take Ruger with him. It just never came up. And so we're having this discussion, and I'm wondering to myself why it's continuing. I'm thinking that we've covered everything, and yet we're still in this discussion. And all of a sudden, I'm a little thick sometimes. So all of a sudden, in the middle of the questions he was asking me, it dawned on me. I said, he thinks I want to take this dog. And I said, Bob, are you worried that we're going to take Ruger back? He said, well, Colonel, he said, you've put all the money in this dog, and people have donated. We've trained it. And we got all this equipment. And I started laughing. I felt he was kind of embarrassed. And I started laughing. And I said, I wouldn't take this dog, Bob, if I was told to do it. I would not. What am I going to do with him? He's your dog. He's part of the Mancini family. That's like taking your son. Okay, you're going to leave Fish and Game, leave your son with me. And it just was unheard of to do that. And I said, look, that's the chance I take as a colonel when I ask you guys to make this huge commitment free of charge. Quite frankly, they're committed to these dogs 7 days a week. They put, as you know, you never get paid for this. You know that. You committed hundreds of hours to a dog and never got paid for that. Now I'm going to take him. You're not going to do that. You sacrifice that when he goes. And I wished him well. And then the best part of this story is the day came not long after this that Bob came to me to return. Things had changed for him. He learned some good lessons in life. He physically improved. And so he made the decision that he would like to come back. He came to see me in the same respectful way. I'd never done this in New Hampshire. New Hampshire had never hired anyone back. I'm going to always view this as one of the best decisions I ever made, because I got an outstanding officer who has grown. He is a good example of the grass isn't always greener. I got her back. And the most interesting part, Wayne, was I called his wife, Amy, near the end of this, because even though Bob would tell you that Amy was all about him coming back to work, I knew better than that. He was a chief up there in his other job, and he was home every night for dinner at 5, and coming back to Fish and Game, that was going to change. And you can tell me all day your wife's good with that. I know better. I like Amy a lot. I called her up to thank her. I said, Amy, I just want to thank you. I know you're sacrificing, allowing him to come back. And I said, I just want you to understand how much we all appreciate it. And if there's ever anything I can do for you, I owe you. And she said, Colonel, I got to tell you, she said, I couldn't take another night of watching the two of them depressed in the living room. She said, Ruger literally is a changed dog since he got back into that cruiser. She said he was miserable, and I just couldn't stand watching it any longer. It was kind of funny that they both were, that she indicated that both of them were depressed. So it was kind of a great story that, and that was a good decision to let him take his dog. I don't know what I would have done with Ruger if I took the dog. So I just couldn't do that. No, if anyone wanted my dog, I think I would kill them for that. So I'm not with anyone else. You can't. That's just ridiculous. So that's the chance we take. And the one thing it did do is it made me aware that I have to put that out there. So I have to make the powers that be understand we are not going to be taking these guys' dogs back. So if there's any hesitation on this, we need to have this open discussion ahead of time, because once these guys get these dogs, even if they're retired dogs. And I'm hopeful that we will have that, retired, healthy dogs. These guys are going to take these dogs home. They're part of their families, and that's not going to change. Under my watch, it's not going to change. So, and in this particular case, it worked out great. I got them both back. So that was a good decision. So
yeah, no doubt. And this whole program is funded by donations, isn't it?
It is. We never went to the state asking for any funding for the program because we knew the well was dry and we couldn't fund some of the things that we have now. So in order to do this, we were going to have to fund it through donations. And in the beginning, it was a little rough. Wildlife Heritage Foundation came aboard, has been a tremendous help. Without their help, we wouldn't have a K-9 program. They've been super to work with. They've promoted the dogs. They've promoted fundraisers. They're just great people to work with. I met with two of their ranking board members this past week, as a matter of fact, and the question came up, why wouldn't this, they weren't asking for any other reason other, I think, than curiosity, but they did say, why wouldn't the state fund this? And I said, well, they probably would now because we've all seen, thank goodness for the show, the Northwoods Law Show, it's been demonstrated over and over how valuable these dogs are on live TV for people to see. And so I don't think it would be a difficult push to go to the state of New Hampshire and say, listen, we got to fund these dogs, and this is a good program. The problem with that, I think you lose some control, quite frankly, over how these dogs are used. I might lose the ability to make the decision that these dogs are not going to go anywhere. They're going to stay with their rightful owners if the state now becomes the legal owner of them. So unless I have to, I'd like to keep it the way it is. I think it's run very well. We have a good fund that's pretty well established. We're buying cruisers, and we spoil them. These dogs have got cruisers, as you know, that start automatically. The air conditioning comes on when it's hot. If it's cold and they leave these dogs in those trucks and it overheats or gets cold, they start up and heat up. I am not going to lose a dog in a cruiser. And whatever that, if you commit to a dog program, you got to have, and I've been told by other chiefs in surrounding states that they don't want their officers to talk to our K-9 officers here in New Hampshire because they find out the equipment we bought for them and it puts pressure on them to buy the same type of equipment. So apparently we take good care of our dogs. But, they're an officer, Wayne. You know that. And they hurt just like we do. They get sore, they get cold, they get hot. And if you're going to take care of your officers, you got to treat these dogs the same. So we do just that. So, and it's the investment you got to make if you want great dogs, and every dime is worth it because we have great dogs. So.
Right. And if people wanted to donate, it's the New Hampshire Wildlife Heritage Foundation and just earmark it for the dog program, right?
The K-9 program.
The K-9
yes. The
program.
Heritage. And the Heritage is anyone that wants to donate for any kind of cause involving New Hampshire Fish and Game, the Heritage Foundation is an excellent source for that. There's some great people there that are very passionate about what we do and how we do it. And without their help and assistance, equipment purchases and safety equipment, I could go on all day about the things they've done for this agency. So they're a great source to make these donations. And you can rest assured that the money that you donate will go for causes that you want it to go to. They're very careful about it, which is important. So, yeah, that's a great way to supplement these programs.
Great. And they're a nonprofit, so it's actually a write-off for tax deduction. So that's great. And the other thing we're doing with this podcast, Colonel, is we're incorporating the New Hampshire 4-H dog clubs because of COVID-19. We're not able to train. We're not able to get together with our dogs. We're not able to pass on the knowledge to these young kids. So we're working through with them. And it's just, that I was in 4-H and I showed dogs growing up. I became passionate about dogs. I worked that into Fish and Game a little. And now my son, and since I've retired, I've become a 4-H dog leader. So we're doing something for the youth and getting them connected to their dogs. And what a great way it is because they can actually see these dogs on TV work and then learn a little bit more about them in the podcast. I always call it the backstage to Northwoods Law. You get to actually the full story or hear a little bit more.
Great. Yeah, no, that's a great way to do it. And it's good to get them started at, as you know, like you did, at a young age too, because they'll be very knowledgeable as they grow older. You don't see, kids that have relationships with animals at a young age become great adults. You don't see examples of them doing anything outside of being good adults, responsible adults. It teaches them a lot of teamwork. It teaches them a lot of respect and the value of hard work. So it is a great program. I'm glad you got involved in it. And I know you had some judging capabilities. So it's a good thing for Andrew, your son, to have you as an asset to show. And you guys have done pretty well, my understanding.
Yes, he's done extremely well his first year. He was right at the top usually. So, he's done very well with his dog. And I had a lot of things I had to learn because, my breed was German Shepherd. He got a German Wirehair Pointer, totally different. But I have to take that step back and remember it's his dog, not mine.
Right. Imagine that's difficult.
Yeah, and she can hunt with us, and she's been a great companion for him. They're pretty tight, and that's pretty. Watching all the 4-H kids with their animals and with their dogs, it's that companionship, and I hope I'm growing future game wardens that'll be K-9 handlers, whether it's for our state or another state. Everything, I've talked to all these guys, including Ken St Pierre, who's coming on as a dog handler, which is pretty exciting, and the aspect of getting another puppy and maybe a chocolate if that's what tastes good, I'm hearing. So that would be kind of a nice addition to the fleet.
That's right. I talked to Wes, the owner of Rise and Shine Kennels, where we get these dogs. And of course, I'm sure you've talked about that, but they've generously donated these dogs to us, which is incredible. I mean, he has some of the, in my opinion, the top of the line hunting dogs around, and he sacrifices one of these dogs all the time for us. And he told me the other day, he was very excited that he had. I remember he called me when we got Moxie, and if those folks that don't know Moxie is a blonde dog or a red dog, and red
yellow
setter, and yellow. We always had. I'm sorry,
she's
yellow.
got a little
Yellow,
brown in her.
Black. We always had black labs, and so he was very apologetic when he's telling me about this round of puppies that he got, and I couldn't figure out what he was trying to tell me. And I said, Wes, if you need me to purchase one, I'll do what I can, because I understand that, and I'll be willing to do that. Your dogs are worth it, and I want to stay in that. He said, no, that's not the problem. He said, the real problem is, Kevin, he said, the dog is yellow. And I said, yellow? You mean in color? He said, yeah. I said, Wes, I don't, that's the problem? He said, yes. I said, Wes, the dog can be purple. The dog is in the line that these other dogs are. I don't care what color it is. I guess he thought that was going to be a big bombshell. And I'd take a blue dog from Wes and Rise and Shine Kennel. I'll tell you, it doesn't matter to me what color they are. So he's very excited. He called me the other day and said, I might be able to get you a chocolate one. I said, that would be cool. Then I would have every color. That would be great. But again, Wes, not a deal breaker for me. So whatever you can give me, as long as it's out of that same or similar bloodline, and they're as talented as the other dogs are, I'm good with that. So we'll see. But it would be nice to have a chocolate one. I like chocolate.
Yeah, that would be neat. And that's Wes Reed with Rise and Shine Kennels, right? And
and anyone looking for a hunting dog, I'm telling you, you are missing the boat if you don't Google that and give him a buzz. They're not cheap dogs, but I don't think any of these hunting dogs are. But I would encourage anyone to go to a show where he demonstrates the abilities of these dogs, and you watch for yourself. And if you leave there thinking that you shouldn't own one of them, you don't know what you're looking for, because these are awesome dogs, and he does a great job. They run a very nice kennel, a very clean one. Those dogs are not even in a kennel. They're in his home. He's a dog lover too. So he's a great guy. I was just on the phone with him 2 days ago talking about this podcast, as a matter of fact. He's a good asset for people that want to have a hunt. They're great people.
Right.
So
and he doesn't mind talking to you and educating you and all of that. So that's definitely awesome. Wes is a great guy. And talking to all the guys through this, every time it comes out, is your support, Colonel, for their program. They train twice the amount that they're required to train. You have them meet every Monday, and that's very reflective in how they perform out there. And that says a lot that you're invested in as much as everybody else is in this, even more so.
And, Mark Hensel, who started our K-9 program, he deserves credit for a lot of that, because he started that rigorous training schedule. I think they train a little differently now than when Mark was there, but Mark started that once a week. He came in, and I was a captain, I think, at the time. He talked to the colonel at the time, Colonel Garabedian, and we thought that was a bit aggressive. State police only trains once a month or twice a month. But again, you, just like anything else, you get what you pay for. These dogs are super dogs. They do a tremendous job. They don't make mistakes, and I attribute that to the fact that they train every week. It's a big hit for the districts that lose a guy. But we kind of worked with the lieutenants. We move them around so they're in different districts each week. COVID kind of put the damper on some of that, so they ended up training alone, which I didn't like. because it's better to train with people. They're just getting back to that now. But you're right. That is a tribute to them to maintain that schedule, because that's not, as you know, being a warden, that's not an easy schedule to maintain. No. You're committed a day of no matter what happens, you're going to be training with your dog, and that's huge. But I've also heard the excitement in their voice, the officers, and seen their faces when their dog saves a life. And they've all done it. All three of these dogs have done it, in my opinion. Ruger just recently. That makes it all worthwhile. So I leave thinking, you bet we're going to train every week. And if they think we need to do it twice a week, that's what we're going to move to. Whatever it takes. That's what you got to jump into this right up to your ears or don't. And you're either going to, I don't want half a program. If we're going to have K-9s, I want working quality K-9s. And that's what we have. I'm very proud of them. And I'm very proud of the guys that have made them the way they are. And that's through their commitment. Yeah, it's a good program. I'd like to have more. It's been a constant battle to get 4. I've not yet been able to get it. I've gotten right on the edge, and one of the guys left, or we had to retire it. So I'm hopeful that when Ken gets his, we'll hit that mark. But I'd like to have the eventual goal would be 6. Wayne, I'd like one in each district. I could see the advantage of that because they're crime fighters as well. They're not only rescue dogs. Search and rescue, they're finding evidence, and they're doing an outstanding job making cases. So it'd be nice to have one in each district.
Yeah, Bob's on his way tomorrow to do a felony case. Apparently, look for some evidence in a felony case. Taking Ruger down there.
Well, state police are now calling them. I hope I don't offend anybody by saying this, but state police are using our K-9s now for any outdoor crimes to find evidence, shootings, homicides, domestic violences. They've been called on all of that stuff. The one that was the most concerning for me was the murder that occurred a number of years ago in Conway at the Army-Navy store when they were robbed and the owner was killed, and the subject left there armed, went up the railroad bed, and Mark Hensel was called with his dog to find that individual, and eventually did. So it's those kinds of calls that when these dogs are successful, that it pays. All this training pays off.
No. Thanks, Colonel, for joining us and sharing all that stuff. Thanks for being a dog lover and putting this on and being so supportive of the guys. And I think it adds so much to our agency, whether it's community policing, whether it's finding evidence, and whether it's finding people. These dogs have added so much to the New Hampshire Fish and Game Law Enforcement Division. So they're great dog officers.
Well, thanks for helping us pave the way, Wayne. A lot of people don't understand that you had one of the first dogs that we saw the value of this. So that started this ball that we now have. So it was it's worth taking for the chiefs out there that watch and listen to this. If you get a guy that comes up with an idea, give him a shot at it. Let him run with it, because sometimes it's a great idea. And in this case, it was. So we benefit every day because of it. So thanks again.
Well, great, Colonel. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
So that concludes our New Hampshire Fish and Game Law Enforcement K-9 podcast. And these dogs and these officers can be seen on Northwood's Law and Animal Planet, so you can actually get that connection. It's pretty cool that you can combine this. Also, if you want to visually see these things, you can go to the Thin Green Line podcast on patreon.com and actually see these interviews and see some of the dogs. So that's pretty special as well. That's what this podcast is really about, is like supporting those people that support fish and game law enforcement, international wildlife crime stoppers, the Operation Game Thieves around the country, the Turn Into Poacher programs. I want to get that message out to you. These whether they're nonprofits, come back and they help wildlife in a way that no other does. And that's kind of really unique and really specific to our wildlife agencies. It's a great opportunity to help. And 4-H is just the most awesome program in the world. No matter where you are or what your interests are, I am sure that there's a 4-H program for you and your children. And it teaches you so much. It teaches you responsibility. It teaches you how to be a quality person in this day and age. So no matter what your interest is, Google 4-H and see if there's something there that's for you. And there's just so much opportunity there, whether you're a dog lover, whether you're a chicken lover, whether you're a cow lover, whether you want to be in administration, politics. There is so much. There's a 4-H Congress. They teach you all about how our government works, and they put you in a 4-H Congress, which is just priceless. It is just priceless. So 4-H is a great, great program, one that I came through, one that gave me life skills that are so important now. It's unbelievable. Please take your time, look into 4-H. Thank you for your support of this podcast. And how you can help me is share this with friends. Go to Facebook, these social media sites, Instagram. Follow me, like me. Those are the ways you can help me. I'm certainly looking for some advertisers, always looking for advertisers, trying to work with people to continue this podcast. So thank you very much for listening to this K-9 Fishing Game podcast. And New Hampshire isn't the only one with the K-9 program. There are so many Fish and Wildlife K-9 programs out there across the country that do such a good job. Your state probably has one as well, and they probably do a dynamic job. And we will be talking to some of those dog handlers across the nation as Warden's Watch continues. Thank you so much. Please join me, Game Warden Wayne Saunders, and other game wardens on our adventures protecting wildlife, saving lives, and having fun, all while serving the public and the natural resources of our planet. Listen to the tales and experiences of those who work in the outdoors while being entertained with stories about encounters with poachers, wildlife investigation, murder investigation, near-death experiences, search and rescue missions, wildlife interactions from game wardens around the country and around the world. When I retired, I realized I couldn't let go of that legacy, but rather wanted to share the passion, the commitment, and the stories of those men and women that call themselves game wardens. This is Game Warden Wayne Saunders, and this is Warden's Watch.